some things I discovered that I thought that may be helpful in your work. Basically, let's start this off with the disclaimers. Basically, I just want to let you know that I am not a Maya guru by any stretch of the imagination. I am very much an old school pen and paper kind of person. So keep that in mind. I may use terminology that isn't necessarily relevant or apt for Maya. The ones that I've caught myself saying are I'm used to other packages, so I refer to pivot point or control points as bones, and parenting in some instances I refer to that as master slave kind of scenarios. So if I bring that up unconsciously, I'm talking about the same thing. I'm just talking about control points and parenting said things to objects. So that being said, also I'm going to this was not, some of the things I'm going to cover in this probably are way convoluted and more completely unnecessary for the given project that you may be working on. It kind of goes back to me not knowing a whole lot about the software. But that being said, I had a project that I wanted. Actually, what's in front of you. So I'll describe the problem that I had. The things that the things that I discovered and that I hope to cover in this video. So basically, really quick, so I don't waste your time. I had this particular project was I had a silly character that was riding a pogo stick, and the idea was that I had two objects that were parented together. The hands and feet are parented to the pogo stick. The problem was that I had these two objects traveling through space. Each would be interacting with the other. So force would be transferred from the pogo stick at one point into the character, and then that process would be reversed back as it descended. So basically, as the object moves, force is applied to, and all the while is traveling in space. I knew that in the planning stage that was going to cause some major problems if corrections needed to be made, or I should say when corrections needed to be made. So I decided that I would create a character rig for it to help me control it. So basically what we have, let me zoom in here a little bit so you can actually see what it did, or not. What I have is I created a control point, or what I would call a master. What this object does is it controls everything as a whole unit, so that if I need it to pivot, it pivots the entire object. And then I can take the slaves, let's say this, and I can finesse it independently of the objects. And the same can be done with the hello, let's come back. Don't go away. Then I can move the other ones independently. So basically what we have is we have the IK wrists parented to the handles. I don't even know if you can actually see that. Let's move it away so you can actually see what I've done. There is that is parented to the handlebars. And the handlebars are parented to the actual model, the object. Same goes for the feet. I created a control point, parented the feet to that control point, and the control point to the actual model that's down there. Now, what is the thing that I discovered, and things that you may want to keep in mind, is that if you just did direct parenting, let's show you, keep things moving. If I just did a direct parent, so I had the control point, my master, if I wanted to call it my master, and I parented that directly to the model to the wrist directly to the control point, and the control point to the model, and then tried to use that with character sets, problems ensue. I don't know why. It is. All I can think is that yes, the programmers at Autodesk are very intelligent, wonderful people, but Maya is just proof that they've been turned to the dark side, because that I don't understand. It is an oddity. So the workaround, we'll go around the. I'll show you what you have to do if you want to do these kind of multiple parenting scenarios. We'll go through that. I'll show you how to create a switch, which was under. So like if I want to remove the hand and grab and have the hand later somewhere down the timeline grab another object, you need to have it released from this object or this control point and have it grab onto the other control point. So in order to do that, you need to have a switch. We'll show you how to actually create a control group, or actually what a control group is, and then also in that wonderful melange of stuff, we'll show you what the connection. There's a little element in Maya called the connection editor, and we'll go over that in the process. So basically, if you decide to sit through this video, we'll cover those elements, and hopefully, if you stick it out, the information that I've discovered will be useful for you later down the line. So with that, let me, I'll close this down, and we will call up an actual, just some things so we can actually, I have something to show you since this is a video, and we'll take it from there. So let me give you a second. Okay, so basically, what's in front of you is the just a rough representation of objects. Basically, just something that we can use to as we progress through this silly tutorial or ill-prepared tutorial, if you will. So basically, what we're going to do is let me go back, reset the screen here, do a little housekeeping so that. Okay, just so that we have a clean slate, and then I can call this back up later. So basically what we're going to do right now is we're going to create a control point so that we have something to play with, and it'll help you along the line. Now that being said, Maya does offer an automated way of doing this, and a lot of people use it. I just prefer not using it because it seems to be a little cumbersome, and it's hard, becomes very hard to see when used with even reasonably complex characters. Let me show you what that is real quick so that you know what I'm talking about. So it's called a locator. It's right under create, called locator. Let's scale it up so you can actually see. Now, people use this as a control point, or there are a plethora of uses for it. But for this particular application, to create a control point, I prefer not using it simply because it's hard to see. I mean, with the typical character, with all the control areas on a given character, a little star like this gets lost easily. So I prefer not doing it. And so I'll show you my way. You know, I'm just letting you know that this exists, and if it works for you, that's there, and you can just totally fast forward this video and totally forget what I'm about to say. So let's go back, and I'll show you how to create a control point. Now, for housekeeping purposes, and probably for you to help you farther down the line, if you like the way I do it, what I would do is I would go over to your editor window, call it up, or the script editor, sorry. Right-click in the upper window so you can see what you're doing, so I'm going to do it in upper window so you can see what I'm doing. Go to clear all, bam, it's all gone away. And then just minimize, I get that way. The reason I do that, that is not necessary for what we're about to do, but the reason I show this to you is it will allow me to show you how to create a button of the process, so that if you like it, you can create the button and it's there, and we don't have to go through this whole building thing ever again. So let's just minimize and get that out of the way. So let's go to the wonderful task of creating a control point. First, what we're going to do is you go to create, and we'll go to polygon primitives, and we'll go to platonic solid. I don't know, I just think that's really funny. So go and just drag it. We'll just rudimentary. Now I think the default shape for the platonic solid is a dodecahedron, if I'm not mistaken. What you're seeing in front of you is obviously not a dodecahedron. So in order to get, this is the object that I prefer. It's your choice. But let me show you how to get it to this shape. So what you can do is you go over to channel box, you go to input, and in the drop down for the solid type, select octahedron, and boom, there you go. And that's the object you will get. Now, that being said, what you want to do is, what I would do is now I would hit your 5 key, so you're in shaded mode. So you actually see what you have in front of you what I'm doing. Then what we're going to do is we have to outline this object. So what we do is we go to create, we go to CV tools, and I'm assuming you have the default values. You hit the V key as in Victor, and we start outlining this object. Let's just try to make this as quick as possible so I'm not boring you beyond belief. And this can happen at any point. I'm just doing it in the center world coordinate, but it doesn't have to happen there. I'm just being lazy. And I think that's everything. So yeah, okay. So we have an outline object. You hit return, and that finishes the project, puts you back to the normal tool. Now we just click outside, deselect, and then reselect the faces, not the actual outline. Then we go back to edit. We will go to delete by type and delete history. And that kind of, basically what that does is it separates the outline that you just created from the original octahedron. So that being done, what you want to do is you select the faces again, and we delete it. And what you are left with is octahedron. Lucky us. So what we want, let me show you. Let me pull this up so you can see. Now, since we created this in the center world, this is, you have the actual pivot point is already centered. That being is not always the case. Sometimes you will create that somewhere else in the world, but you want to have that control point centered. So what you want to do is you want to hit your center, hit your the outline, and what we will do is we'll go up to modify, and you'll go center pivot, and that will actually, well, it did move, so I was wrong. So I wasn't off. I obviously did not create a dead center, but either way, that's the process. You want to center your pivot, and then what we have to do is you want to actually assign this. That's the control object. Now you want to assign it to control point. Sorry. Now you want to assign that to an object. So basically, that was a good size. What I tend to do is I will make it real big if I don't know the size of the object I'm going to attach it to. So I'll just, for the sake of argument, I'll just get it real big right now. And we will go and we'll that being said. So basically at this point, let me backstep a little bit here. I made you go and do that. If you liked this, I would take this code and drag it into your custom panel up in your shelves, and make your own button. If you don't, I'll make another video how to do that. But basically, you just select it all, select it all, drag and drop. You want to do a mel? You say sure, why not? Mine, because my computer's slow. Now that's the button. Right click, edit, and you bring it over. You'll get a window like this, and then you just give it a tip. You call it in here. You just say, just call it a control point. It doesn't have to be any, just whatever you want, a tip you want to give it a name, whatever it was, and then save all. And then I already have one up there, so I'm not going to create another one. But that's how you do that. So moving on. So we have this object. And we're going to use this as a control point. So I'm going to open up I'm going to bring back the other objects. So we have something connected to it. Now let's say that we want that object, or the control group object that we just made, we want it to control the sphere. So basically, we want to select you want to select the element to be controlled, and then select the octahedron with your shift element, and then you go to constraint, point, and boom, and that's that. Let me rephrase that. You have to make sure that the maintain offset in your option panel is deselected so that it actually snaps to around the object. That being said, what I just did, i.e. constraint point, is I personally only do that because I don't have a numeric keypad. If, on the other hand, you did and wanted to use key commands, because some people like that stuff, you could do that by selecting the object to be controlled, then select the W key, hold down the V key, and middle click the center of the locator. This will snap the control point to the object. So if you want to go that route, have at you. So basically now what you want to do is you want to go to the outliner. Let me call up a window. You want to go into the outliner. Go to the element. So we're gonna go to the. It calls it a curve. You want to get rid of that constraint. So just hit delete key, and so that goes away. Now you can basically want to select this, and let's just make sure that it's the size that we like. You can modify it any way you want. Let's just say I want to make it that big. So that's a nice size. So we will select that. You hit modify, and then where is it? Freeze transformations. And you can. That means that you can no longer manipulate the size of that. Right? So basically, there you go. You have an object, and now you just add the control. You want to, if you use, at this point, if you use control sets, which I actually do religiously, you want to add it to your control set, and I'm assuming you know how to do that. So moving on. Now basically, well, actually, we haven't parented it, so I guess we'll leave it at this stage, and then we'll come back and give me a second because someone's knocking at my front door, and then I'll show you how to actually parent it, and then we'll move on from there to show you how to do the control groups and all that wonderful stuff. So give me a second, I'll go answer the door, be right back. Okay, I'm back. The delivery man was interesting. Anyways, everybody's just wanting me today. So just to reiterate where we were, we created an outline, an octahedron. There's now our CP, or control point, and we've got it centered to an object, the object that we are going to control. So that being said, now comes the interesting part. I mean, basically, the assumption here is that that you have multiple control points for an object, for a given object. It's I'm not representing it on the screen just because I'm trying to stick to a specific function. But the assumption is you have multiple control points. They're all controlling at one point in time the same object, or a hierarchy of objects. And I'll go back later and kind of show you what I'm talking about so you have a visual representation. But basically, that's the assumption. So in most scenarios, what you could do is you could just string bones together and they would all work. If that doesn't work in Maya, I firmly believe that though the Autodesk programmers are brilliant, they have definitely turned to the dark side, and it's it's not a happy place. So basically, the mantra that you need to remember from this, the mantra you need to remember if you are going to do multiple control points or do varied rigging scenarios, you want to remember this following phrase, because I am not going to repeat it, because I believe that in like old horror movies, if you repeat the nasty incantation, you resurrect the evil zombies and they eat you. So, and I really don't want to be visited by a zombie personification of my 4th grade grammar teacher. She was a nasty woman. So remember this sentence: you must create a control group to control the control point. Ouch. So remember that. basically that means that you cannot take a control point and control another control point, which controls another control point, which controls an object, and expect it to work nicely, because that scenario, and I'll show you later, but that scenario does not play nicely with character sets, or it's just not nice as being. So basically what you have to do is you have to create what is called a control group, and that's what we're going to do right now. So basically what we're going to do is you select, first off, you select the object that is going to be controlled, and we mosey on down to the mel window, the mel command window, and enter in the following. We enter in group, which is group, which is the function call. It just says, hey, look, something's gonna, we're gonna do so. This is what we're gonna do. Put in a flag for n, which is just basically tells you that something's happening. I can't get into all the stuff here, but switch is just a switch. You're saying that we're gonna introduce something, a name or another function, or something's gonna happen. And then what we're going to do, what we're actually going to insert in this group is the name of the group. Wow, I can't believe I just said that. Anyway, so what you want to do is you want to give it a descriptive name. So what we're going to call it, we're going to go grpcns, which is basically just that's just saying, okay, this object is a group, and we're going to give it a name. And in my case, it's unknown because we just don't know. So we're going to give it unknown object. You want to, since the object could be a knee, so you want to say what type of knee, is it left or right. So we're going to go left underscore, and then we want to give it another more descriptive name, because it's going to be, when it's in the outliner, it's going to be farther down the hierarchy of the tree. So we're going to say, in this case, it's a type of unknown side in this case, but you reiterate the side type, and then what type of object it is. In this case, let's just say it's an IK, because hell, that's what I work with. So that's all. Once that's in the window, we're going to hit the enter key, or in my case, a return key, and boom, up in the outliner window, you will see, right up here, you'll see the group. So that being done, let's deselect everything so you can see. Now we're going to go back to that little mantra that I mentioned, because it is funky as all get out. But what you want to do is you want to grab the CP, the control point. Holding down the shift key, you want to go into your outliner and select the group that you just created, and then go over to constraint, parent, and we're going to open up the option window so you can make sure that you have the default values. Just make sure that you have maintain offset, because earlier on we went through all that hassle of centering the CP onto the object. You don't want to mess with that. However, if later in life once you understand what you're doing and all that wonderful stuff, that's not necessary. Just for this model, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to maintain offset. We want to make sure the translate is for all and the rotate is all. Basically, you want the default value. We will apply that. So now we have a wonderful object that is being controlled by a CP. Boom. Okay. Now, later, what the assumption is that you've got all these multiple, you've got this rig and it's controlling all these different objects, and at some point in time, you're going to want to have that controlled object be released, and like let's say a hand controls, grabs a cup, moves the cup over, puts the cup down, and then wants to go and pick up a pencil. So it has to be released from the cup, and then at some point parented to the pencil. In order to do that, you have to create a switch. So basically what we're going to do now, you literally have, for all intents and purposes, in front of you right now, a CP controlling an object the proper way, so that you could right now just string a bunch of things. Following this process, you could string a bunch of objects together, and you should not have any type of major conflicts. That being said, let's move on. I'll show you how to create a switch. So basically what you want to do is you want to select the group, all right? And we want to go select the group in the outliner window. You want to hold down the Shift key and press W, and then you want to press E, all right? So that's fine. Then you want to go to the control, the object, and you want to, in this case it's the CP. You want to go, you want to go up to Modify at the top of the window, and you want to go and select the Add Attribute. And look at that, I already had it selected. Look at me. And your Add Attribute window will come up. Now this is the fun part. So what you want to do is, what we're going to do is you need to, if someone comes later down the line and has to manipulate your object, in the control box you want to be able to tell them, hey, there's a switch here, pay attention. Basically that's all we're doing. So you want, up in the long name, you want to just call it driver. That is just in most scenarios, in most houses, that's the big call. That's the name. Someone who comes in there in that house will automatically know, oh, okay, there's something here. So let's just call it, for this case, we'll call it driver. We want to make sure that it is displayable up in the box, and you also want to make sure that you're playing with a float, the data type. If that's the case, then you want to hit add, not OK. You want to hit add. That will clear it out. And if you look on the right, you'll see that it has created a driver for you. But back in the attribute window, you have the long name box. Now you want to give it a descriptive name. What does this thing do? If you go back to my original project, what started this whole wonderful process, I wanted it to follow everything to follow the pogo stick. So in my case, I would call it follow pogo stick. For this, let's just say we'll call it follow unknown object. Okay, we want to make sure that make sure that it's also a data type of a float data type, and we want to give the switch a 0 off at minimum, and we want to give it a 1 on maximum. And then once you do that, you hit OK. So what we have done essentially is over here in the control box, we've set up a switch data type for that CP. However, if you notice, it's not going to actually do much of anything because it's not connected. So what we have to do now is we have to connect the CP to the object. So what we do is, with that still selected, or it doesn't matter, but in this case we'll just leave it up. We go to Window, we go to General Editors, and we go to Connection Editor. And this is an interesting thing. So now let's just clear all so that you can see what. We'll deselect everything here, and that's the Connection Editor. Now, first thing we want to do is we want to, in the right side over here, we want to put the control group. So in your outliner, select the outliner. In the outliner, select the group that you just created a moment ago. Back in the connection editor, hit reload write, and that will be that. Then what you want to do is you want, in the actual world window, you want to select the CP, the control point. Back in the connection editor, you want to hit load left. So you have this over here is the control point. This is the control group. And so we scroll to the bottom for each. On the left control point, you should have the named object, the name of the switch that you created. In my case, it's follow unknown object. And for the group, when you selected the Shift W and Shift E, you created a blend parent. And that is right there. So now they are connected. Boom. What you have just done is now you've turned on the switch. You've made the switch active or connected to something. In this case, the object, the control group. So what will happen is, if let's say we move the control point up, if you look over here, it's off. However, if we wanted to turn it on, now it's on. Okay, and you can do that for every control point that is controlling an object, and I suggest you do. So that gives you the functionality of turning things off and on and reparent, moving the parenting process. So if it wants to control a pencil, and then it controls the cup and whatever. So that's that. So that being said, I think I mentioned earlier that problems when you have strings of control groups. And I thought I would show that to you real quick. But basically, that's what we've done. What we've done up to this point is everything I needed to accomplish. You showed you how to do switches, how to use create a control group, and then how to parent the control point to the control group, and that's basically it. And then also how to actually, do the whole, actually create the CP manually. So the problem that I was running across was, so let's say you've got in our scenario, we have a CP that's controlling that object. Let's say we wanted another CP controlling, let's say, I think, if I remember correctly, let's just play around with this. We wanted it to also control that object. So we go back to the character code constraint, and we'll just grab it. And so we got that controlling that object, and we've got that all of a sudden not controlling the object. That is what I was trying to avoid, because if you got strings of those down, all of a sudden they start breaking, and even when you get it fixed, weird things happen. So that's what the problem that I was trying to overcome in the boning process of creating the rig. That's one of the problems. So that being said, I hope I was thorough enough to get the idea across, or I hope it's understood. I will get up the text so that you can see the Mel scripts, so you don't have to keep rewinding the video and get that up on the page. Hope this was helpful, and have a great day.